But here's the kicker, and this is the thing that we don't talk about, and that is that there are some college degrees that actually have a negative ROI.
Well, it turns out it isn't just having a degree. It's the type of degree that matters to your earning potential, according to a new study.
Okay, here's the explanation. The amount of money you have to spend to get that college degree in a certain major or a certain field compared to not going to college at all. Does the amount of money you spend earning that degree, do you earn more than that over your 40-year career working in that field?
Let's just start off with the highest paying majors. What did they have in common?
Sure. I mean, it's probably no surprise, but they tend to be in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. And like, as you said, this is a study that's looking at the incomes of students 4 years after they graduate. So they're pretty earlier in their careers.
Yeah, I think this is so fascinating to look at these various fields. And you write that the lowest earning majors earn roughly $32,000 to $16,000. And those include teaching English or French as a second language, dance, drama, business operations support, and cosmetology. So how much are these majors at a disadvantage?
And here's the kicker, and that is there are some degrees that actually have a negative ROI.
Give guidance to people who are now thinking about what they should do.
Yeah, that's a great question. And overall, research after research shows that college is the best way to a solid financial future.
Now, it may make you a better person. You may be able to hold wonderful, fantastic conversations at dinner parties. You may be the life of the party. You may be able to explain things that no one else in the room can explain. Congratulations. But those aren't the kind of things that actually will pay you more over your career or will make you more valuable in your career. That is, they're things like, oh, it made you a better person, or you're a contributor to your community, or you know how to do things that are of value to those that don't have the ability to do them. You're able to provide the kind of counseling and guidance or coaching to other people that is beneficial to them. And that is that there are degrees that will make you a better person, but you will actually have to pay more out of pocket than someone who said, no, I'm not going to go to college, and wind up doing the same thing. So those degrees from all credentialed programs themselves, that is, when you go through all the credentialed programs, you look at it, you say, okay, where's the negative ROI? Well, 31% of college degrees today have a negative ROI. Now, undergraduate certificates, 28% have a negative ROI. Even a certificate program that everybody's bragging about at community colleges and technical colleges doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make as much extra over the course of your working life, 40 years, than what you paid to get that certificate. See, they don't tell us that. Here's the other thing. Associate's degrees, 1.5 to 2-year degrees. I'm sorry, but they have a 43% negative ROI for associate's degrees. That means that most associate's degrees are just not worth the time or effort, energy, and definitely not worth the expense over your working life, unless it's something that you just really want to do and you're going to be willing to pay for it. It's not going to pay off. Now, when you really get into the quality of return, and that is 3 out of 4 bachelor's degrees are ROI positive. Just 23% have a negative ROI. Now, the more you go to school, the more this fluctuates. So here's a big breakdown. Look, you have 23% negative ROI for bachelor's degrees. For a master's degree, it jumps to 43% negative ROI. That is, you just have 57% that actually make more money because they went for a master's degree, 1 to 2 years for a master's degree. That is, it's the kind of degree where you just sort of keep going to school because you're not sure what you're going to do, but you also took a program that doesn't give you an ability to do things that are of value or that can be valuable to you. Oh my goodness. Why are master's degrees so popular? Well, it's because people don't know yet, or they look at their degree and they say, well, I just want to keep going to school. I'm going to end up paying for this. Most master's degrees you have to pay for. They're not going to pay you. They're not going to give you a scholarship because you're such a wonderful person or a great student. The only way you get those kind of scholarship programs that actually pay you to go to school. I was paid to go to school because I was in a field in humanities, in religious history, where I wasn't going to make a lot of money over my career. Now, if I'm in a professional school, if I go to law school, if I go to an MBA, if I go to med school, I'm paying it all. I'm taking out loans, hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans, because I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And I'm going to be able to repay those loans and actually make a pretty good living with that professional degree or that grad school experience. But PhDs in humanities, for example, are not going to be characteristically those that have a positive ROI on the investment if you actually have to pay out of pocket. If you get into a PhD program and you have to pay for that degree, that should be a red flag to you. It tells you that you're pursuing it simply for the vanity of pursuing a PhD or a graduate degree at that point. Master's degrees generally do not pay. Ouch. Doctoral or professional degrees have a 77% positive ROI. Again, not because necessarily you're going to make tons more money in humanities or non-STEM fields, but because you get scholarships for that so that your earning potential increases. And by the way, you'll be the most employable person in American society if you have a professional or a graduate degree, a PhD, for example. Yeah, you're more employable, and you're going to make almost twice as much as a high school graduate over the course of your lifetime if you're in this category. So yes, there's a positive ROI from those fields. Just a few don't have a positive ROI. Okay, so let's break it down to give a more specific look at specific majors. There's a tool also available at the Bureau of Labor Statistics called Occupational Outlook Handbook. And it's searchable by major fields. And you can actually figure out what the expected lifetime earnings and what the projected growth of that field is, that is demand for people. So here's an example. The field of engineering has a higher rate of pay, about $100,000 to start, and a projected growth of 10 to 20% over the next 10 years. That is, engineering is a growth field. It always requires a college degree. There are no self-taught electrical engineers. These are all people who gain a skill set in college, and they're hired because they gained that skill set. Now, when you look at, compared to that, the category of liberal arts, just throw in that general category, it's projected to lose 4% over the next 10 years. That is, its growth is actually negative. There'll be fewer liberal arts majors that are required or that are in demand over the next 10 years. And the average starting salary is around $60,000 per year compared to $100,000 for engineers, for example. Okay. The only way you make more money in liberal arts is if you go on for a PhD and then you put yourself into a different category. Very rare field. And the question is, and by the way, people in higher education know this. They know whether or not you had to pay for your PhD or whether it was paid for. They know. I know. I can look at where they went to school. I know the structure of the financing that schools offer. And I can tell you whether or not you're there because you think you're worthy and deserving of a PhD, or whether somebody else says, I'm going to give you a lot of money because I think you're worthy and deserving of a PhD. We know. And I'll leave the link to the BLS Occupational Outlook Handbook in the description. And I strongly encourage you to use it. Use it if you're in a college program. Use it if you're new within your field, if you're considering a career change, if you're looking at your major and you're wondering what I could or should be making. By the way, it also gives you a good estimate of what to expect in a field. You know whether you're being overpaid or underpaid. Most of the time you're underpaid. But nonetheless, you tend to be underpaid when you don't know your worth. Here's the other thing. It'll also keep you from being frustrated. Yeah, there are some degrees that just will not make as much money as others. Instead of virtue signaling and saying, but I do so much that's so valuable and society is so much better because of my degree in Portuguese basket weaving or art history. No, it's not. There is not a present value in it. It may be of value to you. Congratulations. It may be your lifelong dream to be an expert in Mayan architecture. Good for you. That's your payoff. To feel good when you look in the mirror to say, I did it. But for most of the time, you're going to have to figure out what skills you acquired that are transferable to a real job that's in demand that people are willing to pay for these days. That's the reality of how to use a college degree in your major, if it's not in a high demand area. Now, I'm not saying that this or that degree should pay more or pay less. I'm just saying that by researching this and doing something that no college advisor tells you about, no high school guidance counselor tells you about, hey, use this tool, look it up, and figure out whether or not you're willing to work in that field. If you're after money in that field, then you can find out fields that will pay you more money than others. And you get to make your choice based on what your desires are, what you want. And if it's money, it's knowable. But if you look at that and you say, in spite of the lower amount of money, I think that will be a meaningful life for me. Well, then go for it. And don't complain when people don't pay you more than you can obviously expect, or there's no growth within your field. You're smart enough, you see that, you can see that ahead of time. That college advisors don't tell you that is because they don't want you to bolt on their lower performing majors. But by the way, every alumni department, every fundraising and advancement department at every college and university that will call you up as soon as you graduate saying, hey, you had a good time. How about you contribute back to the school where you benefited so much? They know exactly how much you're likely to make if you're a business major, a teacher, teaching major, whether you're an SLP, speech language pathologist, or whether you're an art history major, based on the year you graduate and your lifetime earnings. And they project how much money they're able to get from their alumni in giving based on how many people graduate with a major in a certain field. They know that number. Why doesn't your advisor tell you that? Why doesn't your guidance counselor tell you that? I'm telling you the truth. You should look it up and know. Save yourself the anguish, the frustration, and the anger of thinking that you're being underpaid when you're actually being paid what you should have been expecting to make in that career. So take it seriously, take a look, and find out what your life can look like, what you can make, or what you're going to have to do to make a living based on what you're studying today in higher education. And thanks for being part of the Do Over Show. Please, while you're down there looking at those links, figuring out how much you're going to make for the rest of your life, how about you click on the like button because it really helps. And while you're down there, how about you subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad I found you and you found me.